Hello and welcome back to World Traveler Cooking. Today we're going to make a savory snack from Indonesia. This is called kue bawang, or onion cake is the literal translation. It's more of a fried cracker though, and it's savory, just a nice general little snack you can munch on when you're hungry. Now the ingredients are, we have 250 grams of flour, we have 50 grams of tapioca flour, I have 5 cloves of garlic, I have 5 of these little Indonesian shallots. If you're using European shallots, that's maybe half of a large one or a whole small one. We will use 1 green onion, 1 egg. I'm going to use some Indonesian margarine here. Normally, a lot of times you would try to add butter instead, but Indonesian margarine is kind of special. It's not exactly like Western margarine. Western margarine is typically hydrogenated oil that has a little bit of other stuff added to it. This is actually an emulsion of mostly vegetable oil, which is mostly going to be palm oil here, with things like some actual milk liquids and stuff like that. So the texture will be a little different. I would say you could probably substitute palm oil if you had to, but I would recommend going with this, or substituting a little bit of milk and some palm oil would be possibly an acceptable solution. This will be also seasoned with salt, pepper, and basically bouillon powder. In this case, I have a mushroom stock powder, but you could use a chicken stock, or a powdered chicken stock, or a powdered beef stock. I also will use oil for frying, and I have 200 milliliters of water in the freezer to keep it really cold. So, there are some other things that you can add. For example, celery leaves. Now, if you are in, say, Germany, this would be like the leaves that come off of your celery root. So if you get celery root and it has leaves, you could save a few of those, chop them up finely, and add them to this, especially if you pound them into sort of a paste. The second thing you could add would be like powdered coconut milk, but again, that's also completely optional. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Oh, I forgot, I also have baking powder, so we'll add a bit of baking powder to this also. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So our first step is to take our dry ingredients and mix them together. So then goes our flour, a wheat flour, or tapioca flour, one teaspoon of salt. Make that just a little more because savory food is good. Half a teaspoon of this bouillon powder. 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And half a teaspoon of powder of black pepper. And we're just going to mix this well. And then we'll prepare our alliums. And we'll add our alliums along with the margarine and the wet ingredients. So the traditional way to do this would be to use an ulek, but as much fun of it is to watch me use one, I think it's going to be more instructive if I show you how to do this without an ulek. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to chop all of these really finely, and then I'm going to crush them with the side of the knife. So first step, chop all of my alliums fine, and then I'll be back to show you the crushing step. I'm using an Asian chef knife. You can use a Western knife same way, but I like the Asian ones for this because they will they have a wider knife blade for this crushing step. So I switched to a larger cutting board, but basically now you can see how nice and fine this is. And I'm just going to take the side of my knife and I'm going to rub and crush it both directions. You could also use a rock. My preference would be to use a rock, but also some people do in fact do this with simply very, very, very finely chopped alliums. So I'm basically going to keep this up for another couple minutes, and this will just kind of break these down a little more. So I'll be back when I'm done with that. And pretty soon we have this very nice, smoothly crushed stuff. So I'm going to add it to my bowl, and then we will start adding the eggs. So before I add my eggs, I'm working in the 50 grams of margarine and the alliums into my butter mixture. And it's not going to go completely in because, you know, it's not a lot of margarine for this much flour. Once I get it kind of mixed in, then I'm going to add my egg. And I will try to mix that a little more heavily. So let's go ahead and try to mix this in. I'll be back when I'm done with that, and we will start adding our ice water. So this is now mixed to the point where it's a little lumpy, but it's relatively well mixed. We're just going to add a bit of ice water at a time and mix it in, basically until the dough comes together. And then we expect to use most of this 200 milliliters. So add a bit, stir it in well. So I added a little too much water and it became really sticky, so I just added a bit of tapioca flour, and now we're back to a nice soft pliable dough. This is what we want, something that's not going to stick to everything, but it should be, you know, I'm just going to dip it in a little more, see if this works. And just once I get this kneaded a little more, I'll be good to go, and we will start shaping and frying. Now you can shape this however you like. Some people roll it into thick strips or thin strips. Some people roll it into thicker strips. Some people just shape it by hand. Some people roll it into logs and cut it. It's kind of up to you. But this dough is feeling pretty good. So I think this is good here. So I'm not, yeah. I will get rid of the rest of this tapioca flour, and then we'll start shaping. So to shape, I'm just going to do like Oma Liem used to. I'm just going to take a few little pieces. I'm going to roll them in between my hands, so little snakes, and I'll put them on the plate like this. And I'll do this for a bit while I heat up the oil to fry. So now that my test piece is frying nicely, I'm going to take it out. And I will add my first batch. And these will puff up a little bit, that's good. Just going to let them fry here while I get the next set ready, and then we will pull them off. Also, good idea at this point to always turn your heat down so that you don't overheat your oil. These will fry relatively quickly. So I've experimented with a few different ways of shaking these, and what I found is that, at least for this recipe, they come out a little bit bread-like if you do the way I was at the first. So what I found is that if I roll them out and cut them, basically what I do is roll them into snakes, roll them with a rolling pin, slice with a knife, then they come out quite a bit better. So that's what I would recommend doing here. I'll put that in the comment. I'll put that in the description. Anyway, this is the last batch. When we're done with this, we will do a taste test. Before I do the taste test, let me just say I wish I had an air conditioner in the kitchen. That would make things nice, but that would also be very inefficient. So, let's go ahead and try these. I'm going to start with one of the early ones I did, that's sort of in this shape. And this one's quite disappointing. There is some onion flavor. It is savory. But it's like eating some like onion flavored bread. If I have these ones that are rolled narrow though, then they're actually a little crispy and it actually makes them taste better. So there's that. Now I'm going to try one of these ones that's rolled flat. These are nice, especially the flat rolled ones. They're crispy, they're savory, they have enough onion flavor but not like too much. Definitely could munch on these for quite a while instead of say potato chips or whatever. Now if you like this sort of content, you find it interesting, please like, share and subscribe. If you make a dish like this, you do it a little differently, please let me know what you do differently in the comments. I'm actually thinking that next time I make this, I'll probably leave the baking powder out just to see how that affects things. Let me know if you think that's a good idea or not. At any rate, recipes in the description. Bon appetit, and see you next week.